Born to Achieve. Born to Achieve. Welcome to Born to Achieve podcast, the show that inspires and motivates you to unlock your full potential and achieve your goals. With your host, Warren Andrew Pinder. Let's get started on this week's episode of Born to Achieve. Born to Achieve.
I am born to achieve, and so are you. Here for another episode of the Born to Achieve podcast. With me is Mr. Delano L.D. Archer and Dr. Cheyenne Williams, here to discuss a provocative and entertaining topic. I'm going to turn it over to LD's your go.
My go. So today we decided to discuss some trending topics in kind of a roundtable discussion format. Dr. Williams will lead our discussion today. Some of the topics we want to cover, hopefully we can cover all of them. A mother's responsibility with their daughters living in the home with males, something that goes on in our society today, and there are some, I guess, effects of that we need to dig into. Mental health and children. This is kind of a hidden topic, but we have cases of this, as Dr. Williams will expand on. And also we'd like to discuss how can we change the way our young men are thinking. Change. And that is a very interesting note there. Last time we talked about the effects on how they think. But we need to also look at how do we change that mindset. And so now I'll turn the mic over to Dr. Williams. And Dr. Williams, your go.
Okay, so we're going to look at first mothers' responsibilities with their daughters when they are living in the home with males. And a lot of cases that we see where we have issues with mothers and daughters in incidents, especially when they make it to the court system, would be males that would not be the young lady's father or even a relative. In most cases, we would see trending the mother's boyfriend or someone that they're dating. Okay, so what we have realized is a lot of mothers don't realize that when they're living in a home with their girl child and there is a male now living in the home, that is a kind of touchy, I would say, situation, because from a male's perspective, y'all can speak.
No, I won't speak, but I want you finish. If I live in my house with my daughter.
Right, so.
While I know.
Right, so we have women with girl children. They're under their daughter father would have broken up or whatever, not being together. They go and date another guy. They move in. The children are living in the home with them. And then we would have now, in some situations, a man looking at a teenage girl that is not his daughter, not a relative. How does he control himself? What is it that the mother must now teach the daughter as it relates to, okay, you are living in the house with a man who is not your family and he's not your father? How do you conduct yourself around this young man? These are the questions now we put forward because if we look at what's going on in the news, we heard a story about a 11-year-old young girl whose mother's boyfriend got her pregnant, and she secretly did an abortion of some sort. So in that case, what do you think should have happened with that mother? Because how can you know something like this happened and then you try to hide it, protecting the man instead of protecting your own daughter? So it had led me to question mothers if they really know what their responsibilities are as it relates to living in a house with a man that is not your girl child's father.
So what you're saying is that the danger of bringing a stranger to that child
Yes.
in your home.
Right. Or even if they are moving into the home with the man, because we do have some situations like that.
Ellie, what you think? But it's a common practice now.
Right.
And it may be because they're sharing the expenses.
Well, I don't think some of the audience will like my response to that. But I have to be honest with myself.
Right.
And I have to speak in honesty.
Right.
And something that we do as a human race in not all cases, not all countries,
Right.
Some countries stick to moral codes, but we try to adjust these laws and principles that God has set down for us. And we use this sympathetic thought as a way, and we use forgiveness as a way to kind of an excuse to accept it. Now, here's one that's kind of complicated. Before, when a girl had a child out of wedlock, and a lot of girls had children out of wedlock in those days, but there was a consequence. Okay?
Shotgun wedding.
Either you got married, or in some cases, the parents would do the cruel thing and put them out. Good? Today, as we have matured, as we say, as a society, we now accept that to the point where it doesn't even matter anymore. And this is at all levels. This is not only at the low level, it's at the higher level, and it's a thing of the norm now. So we try to adjust these rules where now a woman who has children in a home brings in a stranger, not really knowing about them, may have dated them for a while. Obviously, they're being intimate sexually. And now that man is living in the house with her young daughters.
Right.
Okay? So she has set herself up for anything that could happen. Now, this is my question to you, Dr. Williams, because I think a lot of times we live in what we call denial. If a woman is sleeping with a male partner, there must be something in that activity that triggers her to know that, hey, something's wrong with this guy. Okay? Now, I'm not saying in all cases.
Yeah.
No.
But denial, I think, is a problem. Now, they're never going to tell you after the incident happens that, I always knew something was funny with him.
Yeah.
But denial versus paying a blind eye to paying the bills.
Well, that is the other side of the coin, because this gentleman might be bringing in money in the house, and she overlooks all of those red flags because of money. You see?
Yeah.
But be that as it may, the mistake was made in the beginning.
Exactly.
When she allowed him to come, or she went and lived with him.
Yes.
Right. With the child.
With the child.
It's in particular a girl child.
Right. Especially girl children.
Right.
And, we have a sexual demon in this world, especially with our men, where they now don't have no regard
For what they look at.
for who they look at. Their standards have become very low.
Babies.
Okay?
Right.
And so we have now to look at how the woman protects herself, but we also have to get into the mind of our young boys, because these men, they done out the gate. Ain't no changing them no more.
Yeah, but we're not saying that it's 100% of men in this, that's perpetrating this.
Well, it's never 100%. I mean, we have a society of crime. Guess what? The number of men committing crime in this country it's minimal compared to the ones that are working and trying to do good for their family.
But the havoc they create. Yeah.
But the havoc those few cause
Right.
Makes it great.
makes it great.
So when we hear about this, like you say, Dr. Vin, these trending issues, go ahead.
According to statistics, rapes increased by 11% this year
Wow.
compared to 2023. So that's an uptake in rapes. Gender-based violence studies, Bahamas, 1 in every 4 women suffer sexual or physical assaults.
And that goes back to find out where the root of that problem is. Because we are in denial. We are not facing this problem head on. And like I say, it's like when you call the police to help you. Well, the incident already happened. It done happen. We have to get the incident before it happens. So we have to find out what's causing it.
But I like what we're doing here. We have a social responsibility, right? To speak to these same issues what some persons may not be able to. But bring forward, responsibly.
Only 19% of women report their incidents to the police. 19%.
Wow.
53% of women never leave their abuser.
Say what?
53% of women never leave their abuser.
Well, let's get straight to the point, right? Is it right that you as a parent should allow your child to cohabitate with his partner, or be it, especially a female? I mean,
No way.
Ellie, what you say?
No way.
Boy, I my only guidance on this is love of money.
Of all evil.
But we talking, but when
You see, when your survival is at stake, right, and you have someone giving you what you want and what you need, boy, blinders come on.
But who you talking about? You talking about your child, say your daughter, boyfriend giving her?
No, I talking about
or the mother
I talking about whoever is giving money in the house.
who bringing the money in the house.
Bringing the money in the house. You see, you got to get to that. Okay. Now you may have some silly situations where the mother just like the boy or whatever, and that's
She in love.
Yeah, that makes no sense. Okay. But she may like this boy for a daughter, and she put blinders on again. All right. However, again, the root problem here is going against a moral code that says this should not happen.
Let me tell you, as we sit there and discuss this. Yesterday we had baptism in church, right? We christened it. And it seems that the more I witness these christenings is persons that are not married.
Facts.
Again, like I said, we have relaxed. We have changed God's rules and regulations.
Because I
Disregarded the Bible.
I know the last time we see a married couple christen a baby. I mean,
but the church in itself perpetrates it as well.
Thank you for joining today's podcast. We'll be right back.
Achieve Man, written by Warren Andrew Pinder and Dominique Bradford. This book passionately focuses on the challenges women have been made to go through and how to overcome them. In some cultures, being a woman disadvantages the girl child. This book carefully exposes the hurdles you might face. This masterpiece is the ultimate self-help guide for women. It reveals your true purpose and identity. Get your copy today. Available from Amazon.
We now return to today's podcast.
Okay, so we have relaxed God's rules and regulations, and we have made up our own. And we are using, listen to me, we use sympathy and forgiveness as the excuse for it. And we call it maturing, becoming a matured society.
Changing times. This is
the changing times. God never changes rules and regulations.
Foundation stays the same.
That foundation when you make that foundation rocky, what has happened to the house, Andrew? You're a builder.
It crumble.
It is crumble.
Crack. Fall.
The foundation has to be strong.
So let me put a point right there. So when we're looking at the woman, her upbringing her overall self does not have a firm foundation. Because if she is an empowered woman that knows her self-worth and knows where she stands, she would not have to sacrifice her children for a man because he is taking care of the bills in the home or because he is providing a roof over their head. She would then realize that the situation is poor from the first red flag, and then she would change the situation by leaving, moving out, doing for herself. So we have women that are not strong, they are not empowered, and they are not self-sustained. They feel as though they have to have someone to help them in order for them to move forward. My 5 cents.
I accept that. I love what you said about a woman trying to empower herself and believe that maybe this may just be what I need to help, because there are situations where you've had persons for survival having to rely on someone else, or to move into, a boyfriend or friend's house. The mother assisted them. But when you try, especially if you don't plan on getting married, you try and raise a family in someone else's house. That I don't know if that's the way we want to promote. That's what we want to promote.
It's not gonna work.
I honestly don't think that's what we want to promote. But you go, Ellie. But what? See, this we hitting something there. What's our next? What's the second topic that we?
The third one: change the way the young man thinks. Change the way the young man thinks. And I could start that off. I feel like men need to be educated about the opportunities that they can embrace. A lot of these young men grow up not knowing about other paths that they can take to a successful life. If they grow up ghetto, they know ghetto, they look to ghetto, and that's all they could see, ghetto. But I feel as though if some of our empowered men, successful men in the corporate world would actually take the time to show, teach, create a setting where they can allow these young men to open their eyes to more and better, then we'll see better opportunities taken on by these lost young men. I feel like that's a step.
Okay, so that brings up something interesting. That's a two-edged sword, Dr. Williams. I'll just throw this out there. Now, most men who are successful in their careers and they have good financial strength, and even those who are not, they are not going to bring a young man they don't know nothing about around their home, which is right, to mentor them. So the next edge of the sword is he now has to go somewhere where he can meet them.
Yeah, I would encourage them to go to the host. No?
Right. Now, we try to do this with forums and bring them in a church. But let me tell you, they ain't the young men you need to reach. These men need to go and walk the streets. And I always talk about this. You got to go in the ghetto. You got to go and walk, not to campaign. Put on your jeans and your tennis, get to know some of the fellas, and get to know them, okay? But you know what we do? Again, we live in this fabricated society. We pass through the Grove. We pass through all these corners, getting to and from work. And we see these places, and we play like they don't even exist. And then they go to the nice, primmy office with glass window overlooking buildings, and they forget they had to pass through there to get where they are. And then, when 5 o'clock come, you go pick up your kids or you go home in your gated community.
But you stop back there where you
But you still gotta pass through these places. And you play like this don't exist. You see, there's no selfishness in this world that allows you to live by yourself. If you cannot live with these people, then go to the moon.
I agree.
But let me tell you something, right? A very popular businessman once said, I would tell you, right, where I made my first 100,000. But don't ask me where I made my first 10. And that analogy was simply him saying, I had to hustle, right? But his hustle was gangster. You understand? his hustle was more gangster. He played the part in that role where he knew what it took. Where he had to pedal a couple of half bike or do whatever he had to do. But when he got to that point and he was able to convert that into notes that he could actually go and borrow some money from the bank because of what he had to do. But he was still gangster. But today, when we talk about this and we talk about the mindset and how do we change the mindset, it brings me to the point of, we had a killing, an execution almost. That incident that went around on Facebook the other day. If you notice, that guy, when he was trying to get away, he was trying to pull up his pants. So that he was running and literally caused himself to get shot before. You understand what I'm saying? Because of that gangster is hard knocks. Gangster is really understanding a hustle, but not a life. The lifestyle that you want to portray. Because, man, some of the best and really most successful,
the brightest
musicians and artists today, they gangster, but they billionaires.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Because they learned the real hustle, and the game didn't stay as a part of their life. The game, they I'm not looking at no this way. We are trying to say we advocate for this, right? But if you can stay in it to really be thuggish and not understand business or however, moving from one stage of your life, like you say, the elevator metaphor, right? Actually living beyond that floor, and you rising in everything that you do, you're trying to achieve and rise higher. That's what we're talking about. So we have to meet these young men where they're at.
Yes.
That's the first thing, right? It may be that they're encouraged, their environment, right, dictates them in some things they do, because someone with money asking to do little things that gangsterish could put them in a gangster environment. And then, you understand what they say?
Williams, I'm going to turn this to you in a second, but I have to say what you said there is so true. Often we want to bring people to where we are at, but you're never going to get someone to change their thinking or motivate them or listen to you until you get where they are. You have to come to them.
Exactly.
It's not all about, and that's why I told you the other day, this advice thing is like a rehabilitation. You get 1 out of 10, okay? Because people shut you down
quick. Yeah.
But you have to meet people where they at.
But let me tell you something. How many people you know, right? Half bike to collect Heineken bar, club, restaurant, now house out west and so forth.
Many.
Right? In our little community.
Many.
Because this is a gangster community,
Right.
From Barden, right? Think about it. Rum running.
Don't start.
Drugs. You don't even start that. We changed the whole thing. Plenty businesses today. You understand what they say? But we ain't got to go. We talking real. We showing you exactly. And you could explain it, but like we can't duck it. We have to show people that ain't the way. That's not the way. But if that was the way for some people, that's because at the end of the day, there are adverse effects because of those activities. But the same way, not everyone has it to go to UB.
Right.
A lot of people don't want to go to BTVI, which, man, look here, that's where they need to start, because everyone, you need that trade. We need persons to help to build, but you don't cry about who waking and who coming in and waking and this and that, but you aren't really trying to upgrade yourself or provide, or supply the demand in the workforce.
But it's so shocking about that. Both of us are taught at that institution. And one of the good things that happened was that we are now afforded free education. Barbados did that years and years ago. I mean, you could do up to your PhD, I think, if I could remember correctly, free of charge on the government's purse. Do you know how many young people don't even know today that those two institutions are free? I talk to young people all the time. BTVI? They say it's free, yeah.
They don't know BTVI free?
A lot of young people don't know. And that goes to show you where their interest
I was just about to say that. No interest?
They have no interest in elevating themselves.
No.
Now, the ones who know about it, they have interest in elevating themselves.
No, they won't go there when they 25 and they got to pay someone who come in and read YouTube to fix their fridge. Then they realize, boy, let me go try learn to do this. You understand what I'm saying? That's the difference.
Yeah.
Oh, when it's time to leave.
But dog, go on, man. We don't let me in there lead.
Yeah, but
take the show, but
it is an advantage.
We teaming up on you tonight.
It is an advantage that we need to get on the streets and tell people, because that's an activity that's going to cut out a lot of idle time. Once you enroll in an institution, that cuts out a lot of your idle time.
Your attention too.
And this is where our young people get into trouble, because they have idle time from morning to night.
Yeah.
Nothing to do.
Nothing to do.
They sit on the wall and say,
Nothing to do.
what am I going to do next?
So what you saying, Doc? You go.
So at the same time, after all of that y'all gave me, the men that have to pass through the ghetto, that part, and go to their nice job and then pass back through and go to their nice homes, if they would take the time to speak life, if they would take the time to understand, if they would take the time to realize that if they are a 10 and they have to come down to a 2, for the persons they're trying to speak life into, to understand them, they have to do that. That's what it is that they have to do. But the most important part of mentoring and trying to change mindset and trying to open doors for persons is consistency. We cannot do it today and 7 months from now try to do it again, and then a year after that come back again. The people will look at you as jokers. Even high school students would, because if we don't practice consistency with the message that we're trying to get across, will not resonate in the mind. So the minute you say what it is that you need to say and you leave, that message leaves that person, that it may stick with them for the week or two. But after that, that's nothing more. Nothing you said stays with that person, especially our high school young people. But if you make it your business to come and give time 3 times per term, that's like once a month, and then you increase it to twice a month, and then you stick to that, they will look forward, and you have to be making sense. What you come with needs to be strategic and planned. But once you come and you start to make sense to the young people and you can show them exactly what it is that can take them from point A to point B and be successful, then you will gain their interest. The first 2 or 3 times, they may just play off a bit. But the more you come and the more consistent you are with it, and you bring your information, bring your research, bring what excites them, then you get them to gradually change their mind. Some of them don't change right away. But I guarantee you in timing, especially if they have to make the mistake and get themselves in a situation.
Now for a commercial break.
Achieve Men, written by Warren Andrew Pinder. In this book, you will learn the 7 steps to achieving your dreams and goals. Given the vision to share how the acronym of the word achieve can be used systematically in your day-to-day life. Each of us is given a unique gift from God. Get your copy today. Available in print, ebook, and audiobook from Amazon.
We now return to today's podcast.
Their mind goes right back to you and what you said to them, what you taught them. And 9 out of 10 times, when they get out of that problem, they will do better.
And Dr. Williams, you said a mouthful. And I'd like to add something here. You see, this microwave mentality, I think, is a problem. And what do I mean by that? Parents and also mentors, when they advise someone, they want them to instantly change.
Yes.
It does not work like that most of the time.
Not going to happen.
People have to go through their challenges, okay? They may go through hardship in life. Even after you've advised them, they may end up in jail.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are consistent,
yes,
hopefully, if it's meant to be, at some point, they will look back at what you said or did or how you presented yourself.
Yes.
And look at you and say, you know something? It's true what Dr. Williams told me.
Mm-hmm. I have a lot of boys like that.
I need to make the change.
A lot of boys, yes.
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 You see, now, here's something here to add. Sometimes you have to change strategies because sometimes your strategy may not be working, you know.
Yeah.
Now, that's a complicated one. But I always say this as a I'm still an educator, but I've taught for almost 30 years, and I hate to hear teachers say, and Dr. Williams and I had this discussion before the podcast. Oh, these children dumb. They give them an exam and say, I don't know what's wrong with these children. Let me tell you something. The children ain't dumb.
No,
You just could not get through to them.
that's all.
You're motivating them.
Okay?
That's
You're
I
not
always
motivating them to
told
learn.
my class of students before an exam, when you fail, I fail.
Yes.
I say, we in this together.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay? And so sometimes you have to change your method
Strategy.
and strategy.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Make the mental adjustment.
Exactly.
Your way
Exactly.
is not the only highway.
Exactly. And if I could add, with your assessment to the situation or to the individuals, you would know what it is you need to do to get through to that person. So like I said, you have to strategically plan. You have to strategically come with something systematic in order for it to work. So if you're preparing a class for an exam that you have taught, every lesson for every student had to be adjusted for you as the educator, because the way Susan learns will not be the way that John learns. The way that John learns will not be the way that Tim learns. So for every time you're teaching a lesson, something has to shift in order for you to reach every child. So this is why when you come and you talk about bringing change about the place, you can't just wake up and feel like you're going to start an organization and create change. This comes with some serious thought, some serious strategies put in place, and a system developed. Whereas one, you have to assess everything you do. You must make assessments because two persons are the same. So while the two persons may need the same type of teaching, your assessment must be done on every child, every individual, in order to get and meet the needs that they need. So if you are going to create change, you must know what it is that you are trying to change. And with every person, every individual, that is different. So you cannot know the what until you know the how and the why. I always say that. So if you're going to cause change in the mindset, you must know what is it that is causing the mindset to think the way it thinks. Simple. But we have persons that come about and say they're about change, and they couldn't change their mind, their own mind. So you're trying to change somebody else? No, it won't work.
Well, this has been another entertaining, provocative episode of the Born to Achieve show. We have a lot here that we could discuss and continue next week. We probably just extend to this, but one of the things here, what we are hoping to do is that as we share our experiences and achievements, success, and motivating others to do the same, that we, is our aim that we motivate others to do the same and be able to, reach out because you're born to achieve, because we believe that you're born to achieve greatness.
Yes.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Born to Achieve. Born to Achieve. We hope you found it informative, inspiring, and motivating. Born to Achieve. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with your friends and family. Stay focused on your goals, and we'll see you on the next episode of Born to Achieve. Born to Achieve. Born to Achieve. Born to Achieve.